Okay, here we go. I think we finished up 4 and 5 last week. It might have been 5 and 6 anyway. Let's see here. Genesis 1, 2, 3, 4.
Up to 6.
Up to 6. That's right. So we're at 6-1. Now what I'm going to do, and this is only because I put this on YouTube, and the guy out in Washington State, he has to suffer through listening. He can't really hear you guys reading the Bible. So all he hears is my commentary. He didn't say this, but I know because I process these videos. So I'm going to read the verses, but if you have questions, I want to keep the back and forth going, but I'm going to read the verses just simply because I'd like anybody on YouTube to be able to know what we're talking about. So I apologize for that. You know, Sunday morning, we'll continue to do it as normal because I like having people read the verses. But, and plus we get different versions. So if your version is different and you see something that you think is peculiar based on what we're reading, yell it out, okay? Because I like hearing people read another version, and then we can talk about the differences as well. Anyway, verse 6:1, now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them. Okay, real quickly, that goes back to, I think it was Linda's question about where did Cain get his wife. All right, daughters were born to the sons of men. There were no Levitical restrictions at all. Okay, until the time of the law of Moses, people intermarried, brothers and sisters, and Abraham married his half-sister, and there were no restrictions that we know of anywhere in ancient history.
Well, they kind of had to.
Well, they had to.
They had to.
That's right. And so, you know, for somebody to say, well, where did Cain get his wife, is just making the assumption that things were back then the way they are now, when in fact they're not. Good morning, Pat. How are you? Oh, that's all right. We just got started. We're on our first verse here. That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. This particular verse has caused eons of debate, eons of frustration, and it leads to a lot of really, really bad doctrine. Okay, that particular verse, verse 6:2. So it says here that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. Who are the sons of God? Now, before I ask you to answer this, the Bible is resolvable in one way and one way only. There's only one truth. There are different interpretations. They can be correct or they can be incorrect. But there is only one truth. Now, I am not saying that, in fact, what I propose to you is correct, but I believe it is the correct answer. We were just talking about Norman Geisler, the founder of the seminary I attended. He stood up in one of the courses that I sat in. He was the instructor, and he said there are about 6 possible interpretations of this, and in my life I've held all 6 at one time or another. That shows you how difficult this particular passage is. Okay, but it is resolvable without getting into the goofy. The first thing that I would ask before you give me an answer is that the Bible is about the redemption of mankind. It is focused on mankind. Anything that interacts with mankind is a side issue. All right? I just want to make sure everybody understands that. There's a lot of things that the Bible is about, but in this particular issue, it is about mankind. Does anybody have any thing that they would like to propose that this particular verse means? All right, you can read your commentary there. A lot of commentaries may have something that you find interesting. But if nobody has any commentary, I'll get right into what I believe is correct, and I'll give you a couple of the incorrect. But does anybody have anything that they would like to propose on this? Go ahead.
I wrote angels.
Okay.
I don't know why.
That's okay. That is one of them, and many pastors will stand up in the pulpit and they will tell you that these are angels. Now, here's why they will come up with that particular analysis, is if you go to Job chapter 1, which we're going to head to real quickly, which I talked to one of my friends about last night. Let's see here. We're going to go to Job, and the term for sons of God is B'nai Elohim. Ben. We know that Benjamin is son of the right hand, or Ben Asher would be son of Asher. Ben means son. B'nai Elohim. Elohim being the word God, used about 3,500 times in the Bible. So if you go to, let me see if I can find this here, verse 1 or 2 probably. Oh no, I'm sorry, let's go down a little bit. There was a day when the sons of God, verse 6, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came among them. Okay? The sons of God, B'nai, the exact same term is used there, B'nai Elohim. This is clearly speaking of angels. There's no doubt that that's what's speaking of. Satan was the angel of light. All right? And so this is clearly speaking of it. What we need to understand is that not every time a term is used in the Bible, it is used in the same way. Okay? You make a fundamental error when you say B'nai Elohim in Job 1 is angels, and therefore B'nai Elohim in Genesis 6:2 is angels. Okay? You have to interpret it based on, as I said before, what is the issue about? What are we dealing with? Okay, we're dealing with the redemption of mankind. We're dealing with how mankind deviated from worship of the true Lord, how they, etc., going on. The angels in Job are there for a particular reason. They are mentioned as a side issue. The issue is Job. The issue is Job's relationship with the Lord. Okay? Now, having said that, we're going to go to, I'll find it here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go real quickly. We're going to stop before I get up to the board, and we're going to go to, I have this in my Bible out in the car, and I could run out and get it if you'd like, and I could read you. A person came up to me one day before I get into Deuteronomy. He came up to me at the beach with, I had my little sign out, Bible Questions Answered, and he was one of the few people that was ever openly belligerent with me. And he asked, how many sons does God have? And before I had a chance to answer, I started to go, well, it depends on the context. I was about to say that. And he walks away saying, B'nai Elohim, we're all sons of God. Okay? And he was a Jewish guy. So I sat down and I spent about 30 minutes and I took out all of the information that I had available. As a matter of fact, I am going to go out and get my Bible, if you all can wait a minute. I wrote down all of the information that I could think of and I handed it to him, and he threw it back into the wind, and so I picked it up and left with it. But I'll be right back because I want to read you, if I have it there. Hang on one sec. Now, it may be that the note that I had, I don't have in this Bible, which is fine. It means it's in the thing I keep my Bible in. I'll check for it. But anyway, at least I can take you to the NIV commentary, not the commentary, but the NIV footnotes, which is where you'll get most of your information. That's why, when people read the Bible, I always say, read the footnotes. Even if you don't read the commentary, because usually Bible commentaries are pretty watered down stuff. It's just the way it is. And so you're not going to get really great information out of commentaries unless you have a real complete commentary like the Schofield Reference Bible or something. And then you're dealing with Protestant theology, and so Reformed theology, I should say. And so you're going to get some Reformed ideas rather than the Baptist or, more biblical ideas. But whatever. Anyway, I don't have the note that I have, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to Deuteronomy. We're going to find it real quick. This is from the Song of Moses. So we want to go to, it's going to be towards the end of Deuteronomy. Beautiful, beautiful song that he wrote, proclaiming what was, verse 33. Okay, hang on. Chapter 32, I'm sorry. But, Deuteronomy 32, okay? And it says here, let me see if I can find this. Unfortunately, let me see if I can find, I got to put on my glasses. I'm sorry about this. I hate to look down on people like I'm doing this, but okay. If you go to verse, and if you have something different in here, I'd like you to read it, and then we're going to talk about it. When the Most High, verse 8, when the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he divided up all mankind, he set the boundaries for the peoples according to the number of the sons of Israel. Does it? 8. 32, 8. So tell me if anybody has anything other than that in their particular Bible.
Read it again.
Verse 8, it says, where was I? And when the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he divided all mankind, he set up boundaries for the peoples according to the number of the sons of Israel. You all have Israel in there as well? Sons of Adam, sons of man. Okay, somebody has sons of man or Adam. Adam meaning man. Okay. All right. If you look at the footnote, if you have the NIV, it says Masoretic text. That's the Masoretic text is what reads sons of Israel. The Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint, which predate the Masoretic text, says sons of God. B'nai Elohim. Okay? Now that's important to understand because, and there are other references I could take you into the Bible on this particular issue, but this is enough to establish that it was known before the Masoretic text, which the oldest copy of the Masoretic text dates to about 1000 AD, about right in that area. The Dead Sea Scrolls, which predate Christ, the Septuagint, which predates Christ, which is the Greek translation of the Old Testament, both use the term sons of God. They are being used synonymously, in other words. When the Masoretic text people got to this particular verse in the Song of Moses, they understood that sons of God was not something that most people would understand. So they inserted the sons of Israel. Now, having said that, before I go on, having said that, this goes to, we've talked about preterism in our Sunday school class. Preterism means it's what R.C. Sproul and most Reformed theologians hold on to, is saying that the Bible is fulfilled. Everything except the return of Christ. That means that the book of Revelation is past. It happened in AD 70. Everything in the Bible has been fulfilled. We're just waiting on Christ to return. We are setting up the kingdom on earth. Now, if you see that in the world today, raise your hand. Does anybody see us advancing the kingdom and taking over the world for, okay, we're not. The forces of wickedness, we don't even need Ephesians 6, I think it is, where it talks about the whole armor of God and we're dealing against spiritual forces. If we're building up the kingdom, then, it's already a done deal. We're not. We're waiting on the Lord to return and slay the nations with the breath of his mouth, Revelation 19, okay? So, having said that, hyperpreterism, just so you who don't know what hyperpreterism is a heresy. It's saying that the entire Bible has been fulfilled and Jesus Christ returned at AD 70. Okay? They literally are not waiting on the return of the Lord. The reason why hyperpreterism is a heresy is because when we take the Lord's Supper, we do it for a reason. It is to proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. If you are taking the Lord's Supper for any other reason, you are a heretic. So hyperpreterism is a heresy. Preterism, all things are fulfilled except the return of the Lord, is just misunderstanding God's intent and purposes for the people of Israel. Grace Baptist, most people here would agree, and maybe not everybody, that Israel still has a plan and a purpose in God's redemptive economy, okay? And that we are an insert. The church was a mystery, as Paul said. It is inserted. And that's why we are dispensationalists. We believe God worked this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. The church is inserted, and we still have 7 years of Israel left. Now, this is a very long study. We did it in my class, and it took, 3 months or so, on Daniel 9, verses 24 through 27. If you ever want to do that study, it will set your eschatology. And I go through all the different options of what Daniel is saying in those particular verses, those 4 verses. But if you get them wrong, you will either be a Reformed theologian, or you'll be a Catholic, or you'll be a dispensationalist. Those 4 verses set the entire eschatological scheme. Eschatology meaning the study of last things. Those 4 verses. So Daniel 9, 24 through 27. Now, having said all that, when I was in college, there was, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it just astonishes me how people will do things. You are required when you join a college or a seminary, a Bible college or a seminary, to sign a statement of faith. And a statement of faith may say, while you're in this church or in this seminary, you're not allowed to drink alcohol. Okay, well, I can agree to that. Or you're not allowed to whatever. Okay, I can agree to that. And then they also give you what they believe. And you must sign that statement of faith. And they will say, we believe that God is a triune God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I agree with that. Okay, and you go through all of the points. And one of the points is that we are premillennial dispensationalists. Pre-tribulation, premillennial dispensationalists. That means that we believe the rapture will happen before the millennial age, and it will be before the tribulation. Okay, and you sign that.